The political landscape of Ukraine is in turmoil. Behind closed doors, stacks of US dollars are changing hands. But this isn't a story of typical corruption. It's a story about power, manipulation, and the potential collapse of a nation's fragile political system. As the world watches, a former prime minister stands accused of using money to tear apart the unity of President Zelensky's government. The plot? To bribe lawmakers into weakening Zelensky's majority, destabilizing his hold on power at a critical time. But is this just another tale of greed, or does it signal something deeper? A fracture in the very fabric of Ukraine's democracy. Stay with me as we unravel the intricate web of political maneuvering where money is a weapon and the future of a nation hangs in the balance. In the world of Ukrainian politics, nothing happens without consequence. For years, President Zelenskyy has maintained a delicate balance, navigating corruption, external threats, and an ongoing war that demands national unity. But in January 2025, something shifted. An alleged bribery scheme surfaces, one that could shake the very core of his government. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, UNACB, confirmed that a parliamentary faction leader, whose identity remains hidden, attempted to bribe lawmakers with stacks of US dollars. The goal was clear: fracture Zelensky's overwhelming parliamentary majority. This isn't just about money. It's about the fragile systems that keep power in check. A parliamentary republic gives lawmakers significant sway, and Zelensky's hold on that power could unravel if enough votes swing against him. The core of Ukraine's democracy is at stake, and this scandal threatens to turn a nation already under siege into a house divided. To understand the gravity of this scandal, we must look at Ukraine's history and the mechanisms that have allowed this corruption to thrive. Ukraine, a country that fought hard for its independence, has long struggled with political instability and deep-rooted corruption. From the Orange Revolution to the Maidan protests, the desire for a fairer, more democratic society has been constant. But the forces of corruption have often been too powerful to overcome. The system has always been vulnerable. Ukraine's parliamentary presidential republic, while designed to give significant authority to the legislature, has created a power dynamic ripe for manipulation. As long as the president controls a parliamentary majority, he holds immense power. But the moment that majority falters, the president's influence is diluted, leaving the door wide open for factions to disrupt the government. It's within this context that former Prime Minister Yulia Tymoshenko's role comes into focus. A powerful figure in Ukraine's history, Tymoshenko has always navigated the system's fractures. But now her involvement in this scandal, allegedly offering money to lawmakers in exchange for voting against Zelenskyy, appears to be part of a larger strategy to break Zelensky's legislative grip. The scandal erupted on January 13, 2025. The UNACB, through a series of overnight raids, uncovered stacks of US dollars hidden in the office of a key political figure, money allegedly meant for bribing lawmakers. The video footage released by the authorities was shocking. Piles of cash, seized from an office, with a woman sitting behind a desk, her face barely visible, but her role unmistakable. The significance of this wasn't just the money, it was the revelation of the conspiracy itself. The idea that elected officials could be so easily bought, that the legislative process could be undermined in such a blatant manner, sent shockwaves through Ukraine. Lawmakers, including members of Zelensky's own faction, were reportedly involved. Allegedly, they were promised $10,000 per month in exchange for votes aimed at weakening the president's legislative power. Tymoshenko, already a controversial figure, finds herself at the center of this storm. Her party office, the target of this investigation, becomes a symbol of a wider issue, one that Ukraine cannot afford to ignore. This was no mere act of political maneuvering. It was a calculated attempt to break Ukraine's fragile parliamentary system and destabilize the very leadership that is guiding the country through its most difficult period since independence. This scandal isn't just about the bribery. It's about the mechanisms that make this kind of corruption possible. Ukraine's system of governance, a delicate balance between the president and the legislature, has allowed for immense power, but also created opportunities for manipulation. At the heart of this is the simple fact: controlling the legislature means controlling the direction of the country. And when that control is threatened, as it is in this case, desperate measures are taken. Tymoshenko's alleged actions are a direct challenge to Zelensky's power. Her attempt to buy votes from lawmakers is designed to fracture the majority that Zelenskyy holds in parliament. But this isn't just a personal vendetta. It's a systematic failure, a crack in the foundation of Ukraine's political infrastructure. If the ruling majority breaks apart, Zelensky's ability to pass legislation effectively will diminish, making his presidency weaker. The consequences extend beyond just one scandal. They point to a much deeper issue of governance and institutional fragility in Ukraine. As the investigation into the bribery scheme intensifies, another crisis brews. Tymoshenko, despite facing suspicion, boldly addresses parliament, dismissing the entire investigation as political persecution. This statement only fuels the fire, escalating the conflict between her faction and Zelensky's government. The attack on her party office, which lasted nearly the entire night, was not just a search, it was a political statement. This is not just about money, it's about power, perception, and control. The deeper Ukraine sinks into these scandals, the more questions arise about the stability of its institutions. Tymoshenko's defiance, her refusal to accept the charges, adds layers of complexity to an already volatile situation. Lawmakers, once allies to Zelenskyy, are now caught in a political crossfire. Zelensky's government faces a critical test. Will it stand strong, or will the unraveling of his majority force him into a defensive posture? This is not just a personal battle, it is a fight for Ukraine's political future. For the people of Ukraine, this scandal is more than just a political game, it's a betrayal. In a country already battered by war, economic hardship, and uncertainty, the public's trust in their leaders is fragile. Every scandal, every act of corruption chips away at the belief that things can improve. Imagine being a citizen, struggling to survive in a war-torn nation, only to learn that your representatives, those you trusted to lead, are buying votes with foreign currency. The anger is palpable, the disillusionment even more so. But this isn't just about anger. This is about a deep emotional connection to the very future of Ukraine. The people want hope, stability, and a leader who can push the country towards a brighter future. Instead, they see their leaders entangled in corruption, playing games with their future. This is a crisis of trust, a trust that is harder to rebuild than any institution. Zelenskyy may hold power now, but for how long can he carry the weight of a nation's frustration? How long before the people demand change? While Ukraine grapples with this internal scandal, the reverberations are felt beyond its borders. The international community has been closely watching Ukraine's political stability, especially as the country continues to battle the ongoing war with Russia. Any hint of instability within the government threatens not just Zelensky's presidency, but the global alliances that have been built around Ukraine's fight for sovereignty. Western nations, particularly the US and EU, have invested heavily in Ukraine's stability, providing not just military aid, but financial and political support. The world needs Ukraine to remain united, to show that it can govern effectively, even in the face of enormous challenges. But scandals like this undermine Ukraine's image on the world stage. If the nation's leadership is perceived as fractured or corrupt, the international community may hesitate in offering further support. This is more than a local issue. It's a global one. As tensions rise and Ukraine's political landscape shifts, the consequences could extend far beyond Kyiv. What happens in Ukraine doesn't just affect Ukrainians. It affects every nation watching, every ally standing by Ukraine's side. As Ukraine stands at a crossroads, the future can unfold in several ways. The question is, which path will the nation take? Let's explore three possible scenarios. The optimistic path. Zelenskyy and his government weather the storm. Despite the scandals, the unity within the majority holds. Ukraine's political system reforms, addressing the root causes of corruption. The president manages to secure international support and strengthen his leadership. This would allow Ukraine to focus on its primary goals, winning the war and rebuilding the economy. The middle ground. Zelenskyy's government is weakened but not defeated. The ruling majority fractures, leading to political gridlock. However, Zelenskyy remains in power, and the country finds a way to maintain its international alliances despite internal struggles. This scenario leads to a prolonged period of political instability, making it difficult to enact the necessary reforms and policies to move Ukraine forward. The dark path. The scandal snowballs. Tymoshenko and other political figures manage to fracture the ruling majority completely, leaving Ukraine's government paralyzed. The infighting within the parliament grows, and Zelenskyy's influence diminishes. The nation becomes mired in corruption, losing both international credibility and the ability to govern effectively. In this scenario, Ukraine's future is uncertain, and the country risks falling further into chaos. The future of Ukraine hinges on the choices made today. Will the nation rise above these challenges, or will it be pulled further into the abyss of political fragmentation? As the dust settles on this scandal, the lessons are clear. Ukraine's fight is not just against external enemies, it is also a battle against the corruption that eats away at its foundations. While the world looks to Ukraine as a symbol of resilience, the true test will lie in whether the nation can heal its political wounds from within. For the people of Ukraine, this is a defining moment. Will they accept the status quo, or will they demand accountability from their leaders? The future of their country depends on their response. A leader may rise from this crisis, but only if the people demand change, not just in the faces at the top, but in the system that allowed corruption to flourish. Ukraine stands at a pivotal juncture. The world watches, but the power to change lies in the hands of its people and leaders. It is not enough to defeat an enemy at the border if you cannot defeat the one within. For Zelenskyy, for Tymoshenko, for Ukraine, it's time to decide, will this be the end or the beginning of a new chapter?